President-elect Donald Trump has selected his campaign co-chair, Susie Wiles, to serve as his chief of staff. She'll become the first woman to hold the position. Wiles has advised campaigns for several high-profile Republicans, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Florida Senator Rick Scott. During his victory speech early Wednesday, Trump spotlighted her efforts to get him back to the White House.
Let me also express my tremendous appreciation for Susie and Chris, the job you did. Susie likes to stay sort of in the back, let me tell you. The Ice Maiden, we call her the Ice Maiden.
CBS News campaign reporter Jake Rosen has more now from West Palm Beach, Florida. Jake, what more can you tell us about Susie Wiles?
Well, Susie is credited as one of the people in the Trump campaign, if not the most important, in terms of a couple of things. One was making sure that Donald Trump stuck to message. And as you and I have talked about for the last year plus, there's been a lot of times where Donald Trump has strayed from that, and she has been one of those people integral to making sure that he focused on things that the campaign found was the most important. She's also credited with being one of those people who got him to embrace early voting, something that really played to the Trump campaign's advantage over the last couple weeks. And also, she's one of those people who created stability in a campaign and for a candidate that just hasn't had stability over the last two big runs for office that he's had. Firing chiefs of staff right before the election, constant staff turnover. There really was not a lot of that on this campaign. She's credited for a lot of that. And again, as you talk about next steps for a Trump White House, that's going to be an integral part for keeping that kind of stability that, again, as we know, for 4 years, there was a lot of in and out and internal infighting, and she is credited, again, ahead of time as being someone who can continue that unity for the next 4 years, at least in terms of the Trump staff.
Donald Trump Jr. recently spoke about the transition. Here's what he had to say.
I'm going to be heavily involved on the transition. I want to make sure, now that we know who the real players are, the people who will actually deliver on the president's message, the people who don't think that they know better than the duly elected president of the United States.
What does this mean for the type of people we could see being appointed to the cabinet?
Well, there's the big trend here is loyalty to the former president, just like the president-elect's son said there. They believe that this time around, it'll be easier in certain ways to get the agenda passed. A, because of the overwhelming majority that they'll have in the Senate compared to the last time where the Democrats had control of the Senate in 2016 through 2020. Control of the House, but also appointing people who are already embedded in the Trump campaign, in Trump world, and making sure that those people are ready to get to work to deliver on what Donald Trump wants to do once he is in office. I was talking to sources last night, and over the last couple of days, they really believe that there is this overwhelming sense of loyalty, and there will be not as much of that internal infighting, fighting for the president's time. This time, it'll be a more organized central message of people who are already dedicated to what Donald Trump wants to do when he's in the White House.
Sources have told CBS News that Senator Marco Rubio was on the short list to be Secretary of State. Who else is being considered for that role and other roles?
Well, Rick Grenell, who was a part of the Trump administration the first time, former national security official in the Trump administration, is another person that CBS News can report is being considered for that role. He's someone who went to places like Dearborn, Michigan, and tried to recruit that Arab American vote to either vote against Kamala Harris in Tuesday's election, but also to vote and see the ideas that Donald Trump wanted to push forward. In terms of two other names to watch, obviously the biggest two are Elon Musk and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Where do those two people, in addition to Tulsi Gabbard, another ally of former President Trump, President-elect Trump now, who have all kind of coalesced around him in the final weeks of the campaign. He's teased different jobs for them openly on the campaign trail, and we'll see whether those are official jobs in terms of Kennedy at Health and Human Services or Elon Musk actually working in the government to, quote, cut government waste, as Donald Trump has teased to his supporters. We'll see over the next couple of weeks whether it's people who worked for Donald Trump in the past or some of these new characters in the Trump world that we've seen over the last couple of months.